History and spread of Buddhism. In the West today, Buddhism is primarily known through Tibetan schools and the Japanese Zen tradition. However, Buddhism originated and initially developed in India. It was within this region that Buddhist teachings took shape and diversified over time, from the 5th century BCE to the 12th century CE. Numerous traditions and schools arose, each contributing to the spread of the Buddha's teachings across Asia. Current schools of Buddhism can be grouped according to their doctrinal orientations, rooted in the historical evolution of Buddhism in India, or according to their geographical spread and adaptation beyond India. This classification results in three main doctrinal branches of Buddhism: Ancient Buddhism, Theravada, the Great Vehicle, Mahayana, and the Diamond Vehicle, Vajrayana, also known as Tantrism. Geographically, Buddhist schools are often associated with three main areas of development: Southeast Asia, East Asia, and the Tibetan Himalayas. Doctrinal overview. 1. Ancient Buddhism, Theravada. Ancient Buddhism, often referred to as Theravada, emphasizes the Four Noble Truths and stresses a direct, systematic understanding of phenomena, dharmas. Practitioners are encouraged to recognize all things as impermanent, anitya, unsatisfactory, dukkha, and lacking inherent self, anatman. Ancient Buddhism places a strong focus on discipline, detachment, and renunciation, valuing monastic life highly as the ideal path. In Theravada, the historical Buddha is regarded as an extraordinary human being who achieved enlightenment, but he serves as a model only for those rare individuals capable of pursuing the bodhisattva path to enlightenment without guidance. As a result, Theravada promotes the Shravaka, disciple, path, where practitioners follow the teachings of the historical Buddha to attain personal liberation from the cycle of rebirth, samsara, and reach the state of arhat, the worthy one. These teachings were preserved in several canons, adapted to local languages, but only one complete canon remains today, the Pali Canon, written in Sri Lanka around the start of the Common Era. The teachings of ancient Buddhism have spread widely in Asia and serve as a foundational base for nearly all modern Buddhist schools, especially in terms of the monastic code, Vinaya. In terms of doctrine and practice, Theravada has remained predominant in Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia, with approximately 100 to 150 million adherents. 2. The Great Vehicle, Mahayana. The Mahayana, or Great Vehicle, teachings claim to include teachings given by the historical Buddha but kept secret for centuries. These teachings became accessible around the beginning of the Common Era. The Mahayana path emphasizes emptiness, sunyata, and compassion, karuna, asserting that all phenomena are devoid of intrinsic nature. This recognition of emptiness is achieved through wisdom, prajna. Mahayana places particular emphasis on altruism and developed a number of devotional practices alongside those focused on insight. In Mahayana, the historical Buddha is not viewed as a mere human but as a transcendent being who manifests out of compassion to liberate humanity. Mahayana also holds that numerous transcendent Buddhas continuously offer teachings throughout the universe to those who pursue the bodhisattva path. This path, accessible to all, not only leads to liberation but also to perfect and complete awakening, samik sambodhi, enabling one to help all beings. The Mahayana canon includes certain texts from the ancient canon, like those found in the Pali Canon, but is dominated by new texts, the Mahayana Sutras, written in Sanskrit. Mahayana has inspired various schools in East Asia, such as Pure Land Buddhism, also known as Amitism, and Zen, Chan in Chinese. Today, the number of Mahayana adherents is estimated to be around 200 to 350 million. Mahayana teachings also laid the groundwork for the development of Vajrayana, or the Diamond Vehicle. 3. The Diamond Vehicle, Vajrayana. The Vajrayana, or Diamond Vehicle, is also called Mantrayana, Vehicle of Formulas, or Tantrayana, Vehicle of the Tantras, due to its focus on unique practices rooted in Mahayana doctrine and outlined in Tantric texts. Vajrayana is thus a practical extension of Mahayana rather than a separate doctrinal school. It builds on the concept that all beings inherently possess Buddha nature, Tathagata Garbha, obscured by ignorance but fully present within them. The Vajra, representing both diamond and thunderbolt, symbolizes the efficiency and speed of this path, which enables rapid awakening. Vajrayana spread across Asia, gaining prominence in the Himalayan regions such as Tibet and Nepal and later Mongolia. Vajrayana teachings are followed by around 25 to 50 million adherents. Geographical spread of Buddhism in Asia. Southeast Asia. In early centuries, Buddhism flourished in Southeast Asia among the common people. The region's rulers often leaned towards Brahmanism for its caste-based social structure, though some embraced Buddhism's individualistic salvation message or the promise of a blissful afterlife. Vajrayana, in particular, was influential in Indonesia, e.g., Borobudur. Over time, Theravada Buddhism became dominant across Southeast Asia. East Asia, Buddhism reached China in the early Common Era, initially adapting Taoist vocabulary, which led to early misunderstandings. Later pilgrimages to India by Chinese monks helped create an organized canon and established several schools based on different texts. Zen, Chan, and Pure Land Buddhism became particularly influential in Japan and Korea. Buddhism faced challenges in China due to Confucianism, especially around monastic life, celibacy, and individualism. Despite periods of persecution, Buddhism adapted and spread to Vietnam, Korea, and later Japan, where it evolved uniquely over centuries. Tibet, Buddhism formally arrived in Tibet in the 8th century. Tibetan leaders favored Vajrayana Buddhism due to its political and ideological appeal. Over time, the creation of a Tibetan Buddhist canon led to the establishment of influential monastic institutions that significantly shaped Tibetan politics. Tibetan Buddhism incorporates practices from diverse Vajrayana lineages and maintains strong ties to the region's cultural and spiritual life. Buddhism in the West. Buddhism reached Europe in the Middle Ages through travelers and missionaries but was not widely studied until the 19th century. Increased colonial presence in Asia and growing interest in Indian studies sparked interest in Buddhist texts. Initially, misunderstandings and misconceptions of Buddhism were common, often influenced by Western philosophy and theosophy. However, the 20th century saw increased interest in authentic Buddhist teachings, facilitated by direct encounters with Asian teachers and writings. In the mid-20th century, prominent figures like D.T. Suzuki introduced Zen Buddhism to a Western audience. With more Westerners traveling to Asia in the 1960s and 1970s, and with the arrival of qualified Buddhist teachers in the United States and Europe, Buddhist study centers began to flourish. The establishment of Tibetan and Japanese Zen centers contributed significantly to the spread of Buddhism in the West. Prominent figures such as the Tibetan Kalu Rinpoche, the Japanese Taisen Deshimaru, and the Vietnamese Thich Nhat Hanh have been instrumental in fostering Buddhist understanding in Europe. Political events, such as the Chinese invasion of Tibet in 1959 and conflicts in Southeast Asia, have also drawn Western interest and led to an influx of Buddhist communities, especially in France and the United States. The growth of Western Buddhism owes much to these teachers and the community centers established to spread the Dharma.